Well, what an incredible Australian Grand Prix we've just had. It had absolutely everything, and well, right from the start, a wet start, and we got the aborted start because Isaac Hadjar dropped it on the formation lap. First race, and I feel so sorry for him because his first race will always be remembered, no matter what he goes on to do in the sport, as just dropping it on the formation lap in the rain. I mean, he wasn't the only one to do it. Even the multiple world champion Fernando Alonso did it. Slightly different almost, but Carlos Sainz also did it on lap 1. Jack Doohan also did it on lap 1. It was absolutely incredible. It just looked so difficult and tricky to drive. And then we got, well, a great start from Max Verstappen. Got past Oscar Piastri, and that proved to be, will that throw a spanner in the works? Max held on really well. The three of them were just an absolute country mile faster than anyone else. 1 second lap faster than anybody else behind them. And it was, well, nothing much going on behind, really. I mean, apart from a couple of good starts, Nico Hülkenberg made up 5 places early doors. Charles Leclerc made up 2 crucial passes on Alex Albon and Yuki Tsunoda to get himself up into P5. Fernando Alonso got up into P10, and Kimi Antonelli made up 3 places up into P13 early on. Oscar Piastri and Yuki Tsunoda, Alex Albon were the ones that dropped places. Everyone else sort of gaining up places because we had 3 drivers drop it within 1 lap. And in the case of Isaac Hadjar, he didn't complete a racing lap, did he? So, and then from there onwards, it just seemed pretty like the 3 of them just go scarpering off. Leclerc complaining of tyres going off on lap 13 when we'd only had we've took the first 8 laps of the race under safety car, or 7 laps, because they were clearing up Carlos Sainz and Jack Doohan's car, which took an absolute age. And so for 5 full racing laps and the tyres to go off, it kind of doesn't bode well for the rest of Ferrari's season, does it? I mean, if they're that hard on their tyres and their race pace, strangely enough, in dry conditions in free practice 2 looked really good. It didn't correspond in the race at all. Max was the only one. Could he bring some excitement? He got into the DRS on lap 15 of Lando Norris, and that was as exciting as it got from him. And his tyres then seemed to just drop off absolutely massively. The McLarens just look absolutely phenomenal. The way they're holding on to their tyres is second to none, and that's really what's getting them through. And it just looked comfortable. Oscar Piastri made a pass on Max Verstappen. His tyres had gone off, made a mistake, and then it was basically the 2 McLarens, and it looked like a pretty steady race until lap 34. I mean, we did see Oscar Piastri holding and chasing Lando Norris. Sadly enough, at one stage we heard Zach Brown saying, "Yeah, you're free to race," and then as Piastri got close into that DRS zone, it was kind of like, Oscar, hold position, and it was just really horrible to see that. He then seemed to lose his momentum, made a little mistakes, and then Norris built up a comfortable 2-3 second gap. Probably helped and was probably crucial for them because about around that time, a crash from Fernando Alonso dropped it, spun and hit the wall, meant they didn't really have to build such a gap to double stack, but it threw the race wide open. Everyone went to pit, went from the wets to hards. In the case of Max Verstappen, he went on the medium just to try and throw something in the mix and see if he can make up any positions. Didn't really come off in the restart, although it was a good restart again for Charles Leclerc. He passed Lewis Hamilton on the start of the race, and then also he passed him on the safety car restart on lap 34. But then there was a mistake from Leclerc on lap 44, as it just went absolutely crazy, didn't it? We got that short spurt of a second dashing of rain, which came down really hard. Ferraris looked like they would struggle. I mean, we've seen the 2 McLarens dramatically going off and wide, and felt so bad for Oscar Piastri. Got beached on the grass. Never seen that before, and a real shame because it looked like a really good result. A 1-2 he would have kept in touching distance with Norris. And given how quick and that McLaren is, it does look like potentially there's a race between them two drivers for the driver's title if it carries on like that. And with Oscar losing so many points to Norris, the advantage is really in Norris's favour now on that side of things, and you can't really hope for many more incidents like that. It was just pure unluck. Both went off. Very similar incidents. Piastri just seemed to be carrying a lot more speed and then just getting beached on the grass there, unfortunately. Verstappen led. Hamilton made himself back up into P2 at that point, which is absolutely crazy considering the race he had. He looked absolutely nowhere. Yuki was in P2 as well. He dropped it. Hamilton took that position. Max Verstappen then went in the pits. Hamilton carried on. It was probably the wrong call for Ferrari when you look back now, but at the time they thought, if he was told it was going to be a short dash of rain, but wasn't to be. The lead short-lived. Lando Norris was on the absolute right tyre, made the call bang on, because when they both did spin, Norris was the first one to go in, and I did question that whether that was the right call. Did he need to make that call? If the rain didn't come down as hard as it did, it would have been an absolute disastrous call, because it would have been miles back, and we could have seen one of the Ferraris and even Max Verstappen go for the win there, because them guys were right up at the front. The strategy didn't come off the Ferraris. The safety car went on for a good few laps. We got the restart on lap 52. We then seen Lawson spin. We've seen Bortoletto spin. I mean, 4 rookies out, 4 DNFs out of the 5-6 that started. So yeah, not a great day for the rookies. And that was it. The race was, it was so mixed, because, I mean, for the first 30 odd laps, it didn't look like just McLaren running away with it. I mean, the highlight really was Leclerc complaining of, is something leaking? And then he's like, what's leaking? There's water on my seat. And then the engineer's just coming back saying, must be the water. And Leclerc's response was absolutely brilliant, with a thanks for the words of wisdom. Oh, what a call. I mean, that was the highlight, but then it just exploded. We got all action, which just made it absolutely incredible. I mean, we've got so many race leaders, and we've got a new World Championship leader after 1,000 or more, over 1,000 days. We finally got a new leader on the championship table, Lando Norris first. Max Verstappen followed him home in second, which is a brilliant result from him. George Russell quietly in that Mercedes picked up a third. Antonelli was fourth, but got a 5-second penalty for an unsafe release. Didn't see that on the pictures. And Albon took fourth in the end. Kimi Antonelli on debut comes home at a very solid P5, the best of the rookies. Lance Stroll, a pretty solid P6 as well from him, and Nico Hülkenberg, P7 in the Sauber. Points very early on the board for Sauber. I mean, they struggled all of last season and got just one, so they've triple that tally point in just their first race this season. A bit fortuitous, but they absolutely made the right calls on his side of the garage, and it all paid off for him. And then the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc in P8. P9 for Oscar Piastri, did recover well, considering where he was absolutely dead bottom last. Lewis Hamilton 10th, and what a disappointing Ferrari debut. I mean, I tipped him to win, and at one point it looked like it might have come off, but it's just call went the wrong way. P11 for Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda in P12, Ocon 13th, and Ollie Behrman, the last of the finishers, 14th. 6 DNFs. Let's get to the 3 good and the 3 bad, and it's, number 1 for the 3 good is Lando Norris. He just managed everything that came at him, even when they made that mistake and it spun when that second dash of rain came on lap 44. He went straight in the pits. There was no hesitation from him on that side. Verstappen stayed out, and I did, like I said, I really did question that, but he called that all along. Whenever they came on the radio, what they might do on different scenarios, he said, we pit, we be on the right tyre, and absolutely it was the bang on the right call, because even just a couple of laps later, after that pit, he made up a whole pit stop and had passed Lewis Hamilton for the lead again. And so from there onwards, he then managed another safety car restart after the Lawson and Bortoletto spin. He just everything that came at him, he was just bang on the money, the absolute right call, and a fantastic win to go home and to China in 1 week's time. And I don't doubt they'll, if it stays dry conditions, it's going to be serious trouble for the rest of the field, because that McLaren in race conditions looks absolutely mega. We're kind of fooled a little bit by how others might or might not be doing in testing. This whole rumour of, Ferrari sandbagging, Red Bull must be better than what they are, but McLaren are absolutely dominating. The only hope that we've got is where we've got this F1 wing change, rule change for the front wing, where they're looking at the flex that might change it, that will change in Spain. Will that change McLaren's fortunes and help everybody else catch up? Who knows? We thought the same with the rear wing, and it didn't really affect them too badly, that did it? And we'll see how it goes on that. But Lando Norris, hats off, an absolutely fantastic job. Probably one of the absolute world champion drives, wasn't it? Where we've seen that with Max before, where all the disasters come, and he just manages to keep it in the right place, in the right positions. He was number one, all the right calls in all of that race, and you just couldn't fault either the driver or team. And it would have been a great result overall for McLaren, but for that spin, and felt bad for us, Piastri in the end on that one. The second of the three good, and I'm going for the best of the rookies. Kimi Antonelli from P16 to P5, was P4, but for that 5-second penalty I mentioned earlier. But what a result. This kid, I mean, he's shown he's done it in the rain before, hasn't he? Where he's come back, even in his junior formula, where he's shown he's a good driver in the rain, can keep it on track. And he had one spin when he managed to pass Nico Hülkenberg, got in the spun, and I had to repass him, and that was the only blemish on otherwise what was a really good and solid race from Antonelli. Just absolutely pulled off. One of the rookie drives, actually, just because it was so tricky. It's his first full race in the Mercedes, and he's kept it pretty much on track. No drama. Got the pass on Alex Albon up into 4th place, and was just very, very good total. We're very, very happy with that. I mean, the star rookie of that race, and a well-deserved P5 for him. Shame it wasn't a P4, but for that safe release. Third of the three good, I'm going for Nico Hülkenberg, P7 in the Sauber. That is an absolute dog of a car, but they've come here and Haas has replaced him, haven't they, with the back of the field, and they've looked actually pretty solid for what they've done with that car. He's been, again, like he always does, Nico Hülkenberg, and this is why they'll be so glad they've signed him, and it's a real good signing for that team, because he just pulls off results that other guys just can't seem to do. A P7 in a difficult race. Like I said, he picks up some solid points for Sauber, where they struggled all season, last season, for no points. And this season already they've done a miles better job, so they can only be really happy with that one. I'm going to give a shout out to Alex Albon, though, because not quite made it 3 good, but a P4 finish was absolutely brilliant for the Williams. Everyone was sort of saying, how's this going to go with him and Carlos Sainz? He beat him in qualifying, he's beat him in the race, and just kept it on track. Just the right call to go early on the Inters, and then from there on, pretty solid P4 finish, and really good points for that Williams team, well deserved. They kind of need to maximise these when their points are on the card and they're doing well. They really need to do that, and they didn't quite do that last year, but this started off this year really, really well. And then I'm also going to give a shout out to Max Verstappen, because he nearly won the race, which is just what Max absolutely does. Everyone was sort of, even he was saying, don't count us to be anywhere near the front, and he's pulled off what was a brilliant race. Nearly in the DRS zone of Lando Norris right on the end, pushing him every little inch. And this is what true great world champions do. They just make you work for every little point, every inch of the track, and he did that really, really well. On to the 3 bad, and it's for the Haas. Strange call on the strategy, wasn't it? They decided that they'll stay on the Inters, the only guys that did, and then as the safety car was coming in, they sort of seemed to think, oh, actually, hang on, let's change this, and they went on to the dries. Ollie Behrman, oddly enough, came out ahead of Max Verstappen in between the second and third place and then had to delay the safety car coming in a little bit, but then he was so far back, it just really didn't make any sense. They went for the gamble, pulled out of it at the last minute when it was really too late, and should have just let it ride out. And it actually would have been really interesting to see how that would have happened, because it wasn't too long later where the rain absolutely came chucking down. I mean, it was nearly 3 or 4 laps, so how they would have fared on really worn inters, but they turn into really good slicks. These inters go into such a mad range, don't they, that I mean, it could have worked out absolutely brilliantly for them. But would their inters have been shot later on? Who knows? But it was absolutely, they were so far back, they were last. It was worth the gamble, and I'm not sure what they were absolutely thinking doing that one. Second of that, I'm going of the 3 bad. I'm going for Lewis Hamilton. It was a real struggle for him all race, despite him nearly winning it and coming first or leading for a lap. It just was a bad race start. Lost the place to Charles Leclerc, and then on the safety car restart, he was passed by Charles Leclerc. He got passed by Oscar Piastri on the outside, which is an absolutely brilliant move from him. Just seemed to have a lot of little issues, wasn't he? Just wrong call on the pits. He had a, to-ing and throwing with his race engineer. There's still an awful lot of... He's been with one team for so long that he's just so used to driving that Mercedes power engine. He's had that even with McLaren, hasn't he? And he's gone to a completely new power unit, new team, work completely different to what he's been used to for so long, and it's going to be a big, steeper learning curve than he thought, I thought, and probably many others probably got right. But a really difficult debut. Come on, was in P10, a couple of places down from where we started, so I think overall we'll be disappointed. And the third of the 3 bad, I'm going for the rookies. 4 rookies, 4 DNFs, and they all sort of dropped it on acceleration in the rain. And a lot of people now saying, and we've seen it before, that is F2 really the step up or that build up to Formula 1? The power end difference in the cars, we've not seen the champions of F2 really go up and make it into Formula 1. Bortoletto was the first one to do that in absolute age, but we've seen Filipe Drugovich, who won it before, and Bortoletto, I believe his name is Theo Porsche. It also struggled to make up that grade, and the rookies here, Hadjar dropped it on the formation lap. Doohan crashed just exiting out of the second, out of turn 1, dropped it. The same with Liam Lawson. Spun, he had a horrible weekend overall, hasn't he? And then we also got Bortoletto, who actually had a decent qualifying session, but in the race, dropped it again. Another one, not sure if his one though was a rear suspension failure before he went off and spun, but it did look like he ran over his front wing, and that really broke that suspension on the rear. Debatable, not seen too many TV replays of that incident, but interesting to see what that actually came down to. But there we have it. What an incredible Australian Grand Prix F1 season. We've got the big hype. We've got an absolutely brilliant first Australian Grand Prix, and that's what we absolutely love about this circuit. The Albert Park always delivers. It's rough, rugged, a street circuit comes semi-permanent circuit, and we get everything. And the first time we've seen rain there in an absolute long time, since I can remember, and it set off the race perfectly, set up the season perfectly. Lando Norris, like I said, with the win, a brilliant win from him. Shame on Oscar Piastri. Let's see what they can do next time out, but them two look like the absolute team to beat. That is the story of Melbourne. McLaren are mega, and everybody else has got an awful lot of work to do. Let's see how it happens. Race week in just a week. China next weekend, not long to wait. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you next time. I'm knackered. 4 a.m. start. Time for bed.